On September 10, 2025, at Utah Valley University, a crowd of nearly 3,000 students and locals gathered. It was supposed to be a routine stop on Charlie Kirk's American Comeback Tour. For years, Kirk had thrived on college campuses, debating students, drawing headlines, and energizing young conservatives. But that afternoon, everything changed in a way no one could have predicted. At 12:23 p.m., as Kirk spoke from the stage, a single shot rang out. Within seconds, America's most recognizable young conservative voice was silenced forever. That morning seemed ordinary. Charlie Kirk arrived on campus around 10 a.m., upbeat and ready to launch a new season of his tour. He shook hands, rehearsed his opening lines, and tossed Turning Point USA hats into the crowd. But at the same time, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, a former Utah State University student, was also moving across the same campus in a far darker frame of mind. Surveillance cameras captured Robinson wandering in different outfits, switching jackets, carrying a backpack heavier than usual. Investigators would later reveal Robinson had parked a gray Dodge Challenger near the Losey Center at 8:29 a.m. By noon, he had climbed onto a rooftop overlooking the stage with a scoped Mauser 30-06 hunting rifle. That rifle, handed down from his grandfather, would soon define him as one of the most infamous names in modern American political violence. At 12:09, Kirk began his speech. For 14 minutes, he sparred with students in the audience, addressing questions on gun rights, immigration, and transgender issues. His trademark smile never faded. Then, as he leaned forward to answer a question on mass shootings, a bullet tore through his neck. Witnesses described pandemonium. There was so much blood, then people screamed and dropped to the ground, recalled reporter Emma Pitts. Former Congressman Jason Chaffetz, seated near the stage, said, "Everybody hit the deck. 6 volunteers dragged Kirk's limp body to an SUV. He was rushed to Timpanogos Regional Hospital, but doctors told his wife Erica he had died instantly." At 2:40 p.m., Donald Trump posted the news on Truth Social. Outside, panic mixed with confusion. Police locked down the campus. Students fled across lawns and parking lots. Some thought multiple shooters were involved. Others dialed family members in tears. The American Comeback Tour had ended in blood. Security footage soon identified a young man leaping from the rooftop after the shot. He sprinted toward the south parking lot, leaving behind shoe prints, palm prints, and DNA on stair rails. He ditched the rifle in a wooded area, wrapped in a towel. Etched on the shell casings were bizarre engravings, internet memes, gaming references, even lyrics from the anti-fascist song Bella Ciao. The FBI released photos that evening. More than 7,000 tips poured in. Friends on Discord immediately recognized the suspect, Tyler Robinson, from St. George, Utah. In fact, Robinson himself commented in one chat, "Whoever catches me should give me a cut of the FBI reward." By the next morning, his family was facing the unthinkable. His mother compared news photos to her son and whispered, "Tyler, is this you?" He didn't answer. His silence confirmed everything. Fearing a SWAT raid, the Robinsons contacted a retired detective from their Mormon congregation. On the night of September 11th, just 33 hours after the assassination, Tyler Robinson surrendered at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. He walked in quietly beside his father, calm but resigned. The manhunt was over. Investigators soon uncovered a tangled personal and political life. Robinson had grown up in a conservative household, his father a staunch MAGA supporter, his family frequent attendees at gun shows. But over the past year, Tyler's worldview had shifted. He had become increasingly sympathetic to gay and transgender rights, influenced in part by his relationship with a transgender roommate. Tensions with his father deepened. In private texts later recovered by the FBI, Robinson wrote to his partner, "I've had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated away." Most damning were the texts sent the very morning of the assassination. "Look under my keyboard," he messaged. There, his roommate found a handwritten note. "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." When confronted, Robinson admitted, I'm sorry. I hope to keep this secret until I died of old age. To prosecutors, it read like a confession. To Robinson's defense team, the texts raised questions. Were they authentic, taken out of context, or coerced by circumstance? Either way, they became central to the case. On September 16th, Robinson appeared before Judge Tony Graff via video link. Stoic, expressionless, he listened as prosecutors charged him with aggravated murder, obstruction of justice, and tampering with evidence. Utah County announced it would pursue the death penalty, the first such request in years. At first, Robinson lacked legal representation, but the county commission soon appointed attorney Catherine Nestor, a seasoned federal defender known for handling death penalty cases. She warned the trial could stretch for years. Discovery alone, spanning surveillance footage, forensic tests, digital communications, and thousands of tips, would take months to process. Robinson was denied bail and remains in Utah County Jail. His next appearance is scheduled for late September, but experts predict a full trial may not begin until 2026 or beyond. While the legal machinery turned, Erica Kirk faced her husband's sudden absence. At the State Farm Stadium Memorial on September 21st, more than 30,000 people gathered. Trump, Elon Musk, and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance sat in the front row. On stage, Erica's words stunned even hardened political observers. "That young man, I forgive him, for they know not what they do." It was a moment of mercy in a season of rage. Crowds wept. Commentators debated whether her forgiveness was an act of faith or political calculation. For Erica, it was personal. With 2 children now fatherless, she stepped into leadership of Turning Point USA as its new CEO. Yet, questions lingered. Could she sustain the momentum built by Charlie's confrontational style? Washington reeled. Trump ordered flags at half-staff. Attorney General Pam Bondi declared online celebrations of Kirk's death hate speech, sparking heated free speech debates. Conservative outlets canonized Kirk as a martyr. Liberal commentators warned against politicizing tragedy. International leaders also reacted. Viktor Orban called Kirk a defender of Western values. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer offered condolences but stopped short of praise. Across Europe, far-right groups adopted Kirk's image, while progressive MPs rejected even symbolic tributes. Back home, rival youth organizations sensed opportunity. Students for Liberty launched campaigns with the slogan, "The fire of freedom will not be extinguished." Young Americans for Freedom branded Erica Kirk's leadership as watered-down conservatism. Turning Point now faced not just mourning, but competition. Meanwhile, FBI Director Kash Patel testified before Congress. He vowed to pursue every lead, from Discord chat rooms to surveillance blind spots. He confirmed Robinson acted alone in the shooting itself, but left open questions about possible ideological encouragers online. Patel admitted over 20 individuals had been active in Robinson's Discord channels. Each was being investigated. Speculation swirled about whether Robinson had silent accomplices, or whether online radicalization alone had fueled his decision. The Bureau also faced criticism for missing warning signs. Robinson's engravings, Discord messages, and political rants seemed to paint a clear trajectory. Critics asked, should authorities have intervened sooner? Public opinion split sharply. A YouGov poll found 87% of Americans agreed political violence was a problem. But disturbingly, nearly 1 in 5 liberals under 30 said such violence was sometimes justifiable. On college campuses, support for using violence to stop a speaker had risen from 20% in 2020 to 30% in 2025. On social media, the lines hardened. Hashtags like #JusticeForCharlie clashed with mocking memes. Families unfollowed each other, dinner tables fractured. Kirk's assassination had become more than a crime. It was a mirror reflecting America's political unraveling. Charlie Kirk was 31. In just over a decade, he had built Turning Point USA from a shoestring operation into a national powerhouse with hundreds of thousands of members. Love him or loathe him, his presence on college campuses had reshaped the political conversation. Now, his widow, Erica, must decide whether to preserve his confrontational style or chart a new course rooted in family values. The next 12 to 18 months may determine whether Turning Point thrives or fades into history. As for Robinson, his trial may stretch years, his fate uncertain, but his actions guaranteed one thing: Charlie Kirk's name will forever appear on the grim list of American political violence victims. At the heart of it all remains one haunting moment: September 10th, 12:23 p.m. A single shot that ended a life, altered a movement, and left a nation asking how far its divisions can stretch before they snap. Within hours of the assassination, America's news network split into predictable camps. CNN's headline blared, "Campus Violence Returns, Conservative Leader Assassinated." MSNBC commentators asked whether Kirk's rhetoric had invited violent backlash. Fox News, by contrast, framed him as a martyr. Free speech silenced by left-wing violence. The coverage wasn't just about facts, it was about shaping the national narrative. On the evening of September 10th, Tucker Carlson devoted his entire program to Kirk. He called the assassination an act of terror against American youth and demanded the federal government designate Antifa as a terrorist group. Rachel Maddow countered on MSNBC, "This is a tragedy, but we must not let it become an excuse to criminalize political dissent." Social media amplified the divide. On X, #JusticeForCharlie trended alongside #NoTearsForKirk. TikTok filled with clips of the shooting, some blurred, others disturbingly uncensored. YouTube saw a flood of "what really happened" videos, ranging from sober analysis to wild conspiracy theories. One video suggesting Kirk's assassination was staged racked up 2.3 million views in 48 hours before being removed. The polarization was so intense that even comedians were caught in the crossfire. Jimmy Kimmel made a remark questioning Kirk's legacy and immediately faced boycotts. Stations in 32 markets pulled his late-night show for fear of public backlash. Variety described it as a chilling moment for free expression in entertainment. Charlie Kirk's death didn't stop at America's borders. In Europe, far-right leaders seized on the tragedy. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban praised Kirk as a guardian of Western civilization. France's Marine Le Pen called the assassination proof that the radical left tolerates no opposition. In Spain, Vox Party leader Santiago Abascal wore a replica of Kirk's signature navy blazer on stage, dedicating his speech to "our American brother." But reaction was not unanimous. In the European Parliament, a proposal for a 1-minute silence failed after liberal lawmakers objected. French MP Nathalie Loiseau said, "Kirk was a victim, yes, but his ideology was toxic. We cannot glorify him." In Latin America, Argentine President Javier Milei posted on social media, "The fight for freedom knows no borders. Rest in peace, Charlie." Meanwhile, leftist governments like Colombia and Chile issued carefully worded statements expressing sympathy for the family but condemning Kirk's politics. These international reactions underscored Kirk's polarizing global image, hailed as a freedom fighter by some, denounced as a dangerous demagogue by others. While politicians and pundits clashed, Erica Kirk faced a different struggle, keeping Turning Point USA alive. As the new CEO, she immediately launched the Unity campaign, emphasizing family values, faith, and civil discourse. The tone was softer than Charlie's trademark confrontational style, but critics warned it risked losing the energy that had fueled TPUSA's growth. Students for Liberty capitalized on the shift, telling students, "Turning Point lost its fire. We carry the torch now, young Americans for freedom," branded Erica's message as diluted conservatism. Even within TPUSA, some organizers whispered that without Charlie's fiery personality, the movement risked fading into irrelevance. Digital metrics confirmed the challenge. Charlie's Twitter account, still active as a memorial, retained millions of followers, but engagement plummeted. Erica's new podcast, Turning Point Conversations, attracted polite interest, but lacked the viral spikes Charlie's commentaries once generated. Conservative media gave her respectful coverage, but mainstream outlets largely moved on. Erica's biggest task wasn't just organizational, it was personal. She was now both widow and leader, mother and CEO. At the memorial, she had shown grace by forgiving Robinson, but running a national youth movement demanded something different: the ability to inspire, to rally, to fight. The next year would reveal whether she could embody both mercy and strength. Ultimately, Kirk's assassination left America with more questions than answers. Could political violence be curbed in a nation this divided? Could movements like Turning Point survive without their charismatic founders? Would Robinson's trial bring closure or deepen divisions by turning into another national spectacle? Polls showed a sobering reality. While most Americans condemned the violence, nearly a quarter of young people saw it as understandable in extreme cases. This generational split worried experts. If youth increasingly tolerated political violence, the cycle risked repeating. Kirk's final words on stage, cut short by the bullet, were about rejecting violence while defending gun rights. That irony now hangs over his legacy. Was he a victim of the very divisions he helped inflame, or a martyr silenced by intolerance? What is certain is that September 10th, 2025, will be remembered not just as the day Charlie Kirk died, but as the day America confronted how fragile its democracy truly is.